Angry guy here, and women are suffering as men leave them homeless. Women are suffering as men leave them homeless. I wanted to talk about this topic. I want to talk about what we're seeing happening around us right now, the relationships between men and women in Western society, why MWA will continue to grow, men walking away from Western society and relationships in Western society, and what this future is really going to look like for women and the outcome. So, I've come to realize, and as I get older and I learn more about female psychology, you have to understand that male psychology and female psychology are not the same thing. There's a guy named Psychax on YouTube, and I have a master's degree in psychology. Something very intriguing that Psychax talks about. He mentions that psychology, or the field of talk therapy, so was created specifically for women. So the field of psychology was not created for women, but talk therapy actually emerged when I forget the name of this famous psychiatrist. But she said, but he had a patient. She came in, she sat down, and she basically, he was talking to her, and eventually she just told him, just shut up and let me speak. And he just did just that, and he shut up. And she sat there and she spoke for an hour. And at the end of the hour, she felt great. And that was something that he discovered, as being beneficial. But that was geared towards women, and that's how we ended up with talk therapy, where a person sits down and they talk. But men and women are different. Sure, men can talk sometimes and get some things off their chest, maybe once or twice, but that's it. Because for a man, it's about solving the problem. A man does not constantly want to go over and over the problem. A man wants a solution. What do I do? How do I resolve the issue? Women and men are different. And when you understand those core differences, when you understand that women and men are fundamentally different in our psychology, then you understand that when it comes to a woman, women have to have their emotions regulated by their fathers. Both men and women have their emotions learn how to regulate their emotions by their fathers. But and the person I'm talking about was probably Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud, he was an Austrian, the founder of psychoanalysis. It was Sigmund Freud. You have to understand that men and women think differently. And what's happening here in Western society, it took me time to figure it out, to comprehend why women are behaving this way, what it is. And it's pretty interesting. Women want men to tell them no. Not only do women want men to tell them no, but they want men to regulate what is acceptable. And then naturally, a woman will turn around and throw a tantrum and say that she's a victim, because that's her go to for winning an argument. The only way men can ever win is by victimization culture being pushed away and saying, nope, you can't be a victim anymore. For example, you say that a guy did something, well, it has to be innocent until proven guilty. It is on you it's on you, the person who is saying that something happened, to prove it, and it's not the other way around. And there are going to be consequences, very, very severe consequences, equivalent to whatever punishment the guy would receive. You will receive an equivalent punishment if you are lying. And in general situations, there's no more I'm a victim. It's basically no more, he said, she said. In these situations, they have to treat it neutral. They have to treat it neutral. Guys, in other countries, in Mexico, in some countries in Africa, maybe all of Africa, they have different kinds of marriage. Different kinds of marriage. And it's intriguing. The way marriage works in these countries is they have different kinds of marriage arrangements. So for example, you can sign a marriage contract, because that's what it is, where property is divided 50-50. So whatever you bring into the marriage, if you guys get a divorce, she takes half, you take half, and that's it. So she gets half of everything from from the relationship, or you can sign another type of marriage contract where whatever you bring into the marriage and whatever you produce in the marriage remains yours. So whatever assets are yours, whatever assets are hers. It doesn't matter if any money is made in the marriage. Her assets are her assets, your assets are your assets. That's it. And then there's a third kind also where there's a third kind. I forget the exact way that that third kind works, but there's also another one where basically whatever you bring into the marriage, so whatever you bring into the marriage remains yours, but anything that comes into the marriage after that, anything that's made in the marriage after that is community property. So if you were a millionaire and you had $1 million before and those assets remain separate, then you will hold on to those assets. So for example, if you had a house, you had and all of these things, assets before you came into the marriage, those will remain your assets. Anything else that is made during the marriage, then she will get access to. So there are those three types of marriage. As you can see in other countries, they really don't do this. They don't have one type of marriage where, okay, you get married and now the woman could take you for 50-50. She could clean you out. We live in a society, and I realized that where when they talk about the patriarchy, they were talking about fathers. Think about it. We call the great patriarchs, the founding fathers for a reason, but it's always been about getting rid of the fathers. It's always been about moving the fathers away, because it wasn't just the fathers that founded the country, but it's the fathers within the home. That was the main goal, to get the fathers out of the home, because without the fathers, the families fall apart. How can you even really call that a family? There is no structure. There's no safety. This is the reason why when you have a lot of these young men and they have no father in the home, what do? They go to the streets and they turn to these thugs that show them the love and kindness that they would get from a father. And it's the same thing with young women. They turn to thugs. They turn to these types of men that will give them this type of really toxic energy that they are craving. But in reality, it is not. They're craving masculine energy. Both men and women crave masculine energy. It's very, very true. You can see it that both men and women crave masculine energy. Men enjoy being around masculine men. Men don't like being around sissies. For example, you can be around your brothers, and your brothers can be quite tough, and your brothers can say, I love you. Men say, I love you, but when a man says, I love you, it is not something they say every single time. It's a rare thing. We're not, come on, what the heck? But you can love a brother, regardless if you're blood related or not. You know what I mean when I say brothers. You're, a person, a person that you have a strong bond with, and you have your masculinity. And one of the reasons why that love exists is because of if your masculinity. Masculinity draws men together. It is such a fundamental and important thing. It is like blood. It is life in and of itself. Both men and women crave it. But who are the ones who have masculinity? Fathers. Fathers are the ones that create strong men and strong women. Men who don't go out and do terrible things in society. Women who don't go out and do terrible things in society. It's up to a man to create structure. This is why the father always ensured that he would screen the man that the woman would bring around, his daughter would bring around, to make sure it was a good man, because that man would then become a part of their family. And that man would also increase his chances of survival. At our fundamental core, it's survive and replicate. But life is not just about survival and replication. Life is about the pursuit of happiness and finding purpose. The problem is that a lot of people don't understand this important structure. Men understand the structure. And that's the reason why it was so important that a woman choose a good man, and a father would pre-screen that man. In fact, and sometimes he would choose the man himself, because this would ensure that the family unit would be preserved and the chances of his survival would also increase. Most men don't think like that anymore because they are disillusioned by society. just like women are disillusioned, not as much, but they are very disillusioned by society, believing that society will provide everything for them and their daughters, so it doesn't really matter what happens to the man. And they can go and hang around with a screw boy, but everything's okay because, society will protect them. This is absolute nonsense. I've said this already, and I've called out a lot of dudes on this. The fact that they don't speak to their daughters, they don't raise their daughters to be ladies. They don't tell their daughters, you're not going to go out there, you're not going to go into the streets, you're not going to do these things. It's like, if you have a son, you can sit a son down and you can basically have a good conversation with him and let him know what's up. But when it comes to a daughter, you better not even raise your voice at her. Like, who the heck, who do these men think they are? And then the response I get from these guys are, yo, you wouldn't know, you wouldn't understand until you have a daughter. I would never understand until I have a daughter that she needs to have structure, she needs to have self-control, she needs to carry herself like a lady, she needs to ensure that she doesn't go around telling lies and destroying lives. You don't understand. You don't understand. No, I understand that you don't want to do your job as a man. You want to have this foolish daddy-daughter relationship. And then when she grows up and her life is messed up, where are you? A lot of you dudes end up in tons of problems because guess what? You were simps when you got married. You ended up marrying women that also took advantage of you. So you end up getting divorced. You're broke. You don't have anything. You can't take care of your kids. Can't take care of your daughter, and you leave her to go into society and create grief and havoc. And where are you? You don't even, a lot of these men bail on these girls. They leave these girls in society to create these problems, and they don't show themselves. Why is it that when these women are doing these things in society, you don't see their dad walking beside them? Huh? It's not that all of these women don't have fathers. It's because these men go into hiding. These men don't want to be seen in public. They don't want to be seen in public with their daughters, the daughters that they had this daddy-daughter relationship with. Where are you? Stay out of my business. Get away from me. Dude, no, 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 no. She's destroying society. This woman has done some really unsavory things. You need to explain this, bro. You raised her. So what's up, man? What's up? Get away from me. I'm not involved. I'm not involved in this. That's between you and her. Bro, guys, this is why men are suffering. This is why men have suffered. But now women are suffering because men are walking away from society, relations in Western society. Women, specifically millennial women and Gen Z women, they're the first generation of women to actually live shorter lives than the previous generations. They're living shorter lives than the silent generation, who are the parents of the baby boomers. Their well-being has declined significantly, and it continues to decline rapidly year over year. They're falling deep into destitution. A lot of them are now engaging in becoming evening delights, going on only fools and lonely fans. It's getting from bad to worse, and it's only going to continue to go in this direction. What do you guys think regarding this? I want to know your thoughts. Women are suffering as men leave them homeless. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and we'll talk about it there. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.